Hi, I'm Sam. This is day 8 of 13 Days of Horror, and this day I am doing them. Ah! Now this one's pretty good because this is like one of the movies that's like, dude, like it's on the background, right? This is the background. I would say it's in the same kind of area the thing from the world is on when it comes to the feeling of the movie, the atmosphere, and of course the big idea that this is a movie you see in the background of like a Halloween movie, in a Halloween movie. It was made in 1954. It was directed by Gordon Douglas. James Whitmore plays Sergeant Ben Peterson. Edmond Gwen plays Dr. Harold Medford. James Arnes plays Robert Graham. And Joan Weldon plays Dr. Patricia Medford, Edmund's daughter. Edmund's character's daughter. And as simple as it gets, this is very simple. The earliest atomic tests in New Mexico caused common ants to mutate into giant man-eating monsters that threaten civilization. This is a classic, just already. Like, all these movies are classics. This is a classic. This movie's on Tubi, meaning you could watch it for free, as long as you don't mind the ads and commercials. As I said earlier, this is a 1954. This is not the first, but it is, of course, you know, among the first, at least years-wise, of the whole, like, science fiction monster movies and whatnot. Like Frankenstein's kind of science fictionist, but, you know, whenever you think of Frankenstein, you think of, a black and white, kind of, not gothic, but, you know, more gothic, kind of thing, right? Yeah. I mean, it's not, like, all, but, yeah. This is, like, the science fiction kind, because it's, like, you know, all the science fiction movies back then, it's, like, the reason why the ants are so big, or, you know, this monster's here, or, you know, whatever, it's because of radiation. It's very, you know, simple and silly, in which, you know, to its credit, radiation can change organisms and whatnot. It's just, you know, that drastically. But, no, it is funny that, you know, in the 50s and such, maybe that's why the Cold War was always kind of like, you know, that never, like, became a serious big thing, because people, just normal, everyday people, all they were seeing was, you know, the monsters in the movies were born out of radiation, and if there's ever a nuclear war, or, you know, an atomic bomb blowing up in New York City, then that's gonna happen, kind of thing. In which case, I suppose you never know, but... I suppose the people were like, we don't want this happening, so don't go into war, and I'm sure people in... I don't know if people in the Soviet Union were able to watch these movies. I'm sure some probably did illegally, of course. But, yeah. That's just a little sub thing I kind of just thought of in the moment. The whole, you know, atomic messaging getting in, you know, the sub message, or, you know, it's the message for our subconscious, I guess. As I said, James Arnes is in this. Of course, if you watched the last video, you know he plays the Thing in that movie. If you know the actor, you know, in general, you know that he does, that he did a lot of Western stuff. My grandpa loved, like, Gunsmoke and whatnot, and I don't know if James Arnes was in that specifically, but I think he was in, James Arnes, I'm pretty sure it was Gunsmoke. He was in one of those Western shows, and whenever he put that show on, he, you know, that's like, oh, look, that's him, that's the Thing. Or at least I was, anyway. He didn't really like scary movies much. And if you really know Edmond Gwen, he plays Santa Claus on Miracle on 34th Street. So it's always kind of funny whether it's a, you know, like a 50s movie is not like a scary movie because, you know, you go and watch it. Unless you've never seen a horror movie before, you're not going to like be scared or jumped or whatever. It's just a simple science fiction movie that if you watched it in the time without any future knowledge, you would be like, oh, that's really scary. Ah! Right? So it's always funny seeing like an actor that's like, he's in something like sweet and whatnot like that, and then he's also in this like monster movie, right? I suppose something similar nowadays would be like, I guess like kind of like, I forget his name. It's Kevin something. He's a comedian, or you see him in comedic movies. Actually, let me see if, I don't know if I have a movie that he's in right here, but he's like I think it's Kevin James. I think that's his name. Anyway, you know him from like, you know, that one show from like the 90s, and then he's in a lot of like funny movies like Grown Up or Here Comes the Boom, or, you know, something like that. But then like he's in Becky, and like he's a super serious like evil character in the movie. Or the actor that plays Will Ferrell's character's dad in Daddy's Home 2. That actor, you know, he plays the dad, and he's like some innocent, like, you know, character, right? You know, I say innocent, right? He's like a nice guy, he's a good guy kind of character, and like he's the total opposite in like Dexter, the show Dexter. Now I haven't really gotten to him yet, but you know, I know that he's in the show, and he's like a big bad guy. As like, that's funny. That like you see those actors and they're in completely different things. They're like totally different tones and whatnot. James Whitmore was in if I'm not mistaken, he was in Battleground, a classic World War II 50s or 40s movie, or late 40s of course. He plays, of course, the main captain or sergeant for the squad. Yeah, it's a pretty simple story, you know. That's kind of is quite literally ants that could threaten civilization, and they got to find the queen ants before, you know, they run away into the wild forever. And if they lose them, then, you know, ants will rule and conquer the world. Should you watch this movie? Yes. It's on Tubi, so you can. But yeah, I'm Sam. This was day 8 of my 13 days of horror, and I chose to do them, the giant ant movie. Yeah, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Goodbye.